Each year, on either the last week of August or the first weekend in September in the Southern Alps of France, the Ultra Trail de Mont Blanc race begins, and some of the world's best trail runners and ultramarathoners descend upon Chamonix and Mont Blanc, the tallest peak in all of Europe. The Ultra Trail de Mont Blanc, as a single race, was founded in 2003, which then became a series of races run each year. Each of the races has a strict entry and qualification requirement, attained by accumulating enough race points through qualifying in trail races over the previous 2-year period. In 2006, a second race, the CCC, was organized, and a third race, the TDS, was added in 2009. Throughout the week, there are 7 different races that include more than 15,000 athletes and thousands of their supporters and family and friends. It's easily one of the most exciting and entertaining weeks of ultramarathon races in the entire world, and it's widely known as some of the most difficult races, with the UTMB TDS standing out as the most technical and challenging race of the UTMB series. But when I was a kid, my mom told me I could accomplish anything I put my mind to, and I believed her then, and I still believe her now. So I set my sights on accomplishing what's widely known as one of the most difficult races in the world, to see if I was able to do it. And so I set my sights on the UTMB TDS race, just a few years after beginning ultramarathon races. And here's where that story begins. Back at Thanksgiving of 2016, I was as unfit and heavy as I had been in my entire life. And I felt like I needed a new challenge to motivate myself to get a little bit fitter. So I signed up for a 25-kilometer race out at Hag Lake in Oregon, and the race director encouraged me to consider running the full 50 kilometers, which was 2 loops around the lake. And despite not being particularly fit and doing this race largely off the couch, I found myself motivated by trying to complete 2 loops of this race, which I was able to do slogging through the mud in my unfit, unhealthy self. But it caught the bug of enjoying the idea of running on trails, in the mountains, in the outdoors, and testing my physical and mental capacity. So I started signing up for other races. I started a few in 2017 after losing about 20 pounds, running 700 miles for training, and found myself in the mountains in Central Oregon, in the Grand Canyon, Camp Sherman along the Metolius River, and all across the western United States, getting an opportunity to test my skills and document it along the way. For many years before I ever started ultramarathoning, I'd always watched videos of other runners out on the trail, and it had inspired me and kind of kept that motivation and hope alive that maybe one day I could do the same. So I began to document my races and my training in hopes of inspiring others who might come behind me to see amazing locations and to be inspired by the trails, and to see the capacity that we have as human beings to achieve amazing physical, mental, and spiritual growth in our lives. And so with that in mind, I headed out on the trail, and sometimes it was pretty treacherous and a little bit scary, but it always was challenging, and it always helped stretch me and help me grow and experience things that otherwise I wouldn't have had a chance to experience. Sometimes it was really painful and awful, and other times it was exhilarating and wonderful, but it always had to end with an amazing war whoop.
Wow, yeah! Wow, yeah! Wow, yeah! Dude. Wow, yeah! Wow, yeah!
Mark's
It's good. And sometimes with a little help from the Boy Scouts on the summit of Mount Timpanogos.
3, 2, 1.
Yeah!
Nice work, Scout Troop.
So after finishing a handful of races that accumulated some points that would qualify me for getting into the lottery for the Ultra Trail de Mont Blanc TDS race, I threw my hat in the ring to see what might be possible. Here's my UTMB info, and draws in the next couple minutes. We'll see what happens. And then I was looking forward to seeing if I hit my season 3 goal of getting into a UTMB race just a little over 2 years from my first ever ultramarathon race. A little bit of a sense of how I qualify for TDS that I got in my registration for. We'll see if I hit the draw or not. Draws in about 4 minutes, published online, 10 a.m. Paris time. Here's TDS. Freeze. It shows it as registered. I click that. Currently, the UTMB website is saying that I'm registered for TDS. So we'll see what that means at the end of the day, but exciting, interesting opportunity. We'll see what we can put together there. I've got some work to do to be over in Chamonix and feel good about that. But anyway, if you'd asked me 2 years ago, before I had ever run a 50K, that this was possible to go and run 90 miles in the Swiss Alps, I would have said, no way. But if I had the opportunity, I feel confident I could finish the race, and it would be amazing to do that. So. Well, we are in Chamonix. It is Monday, I think the 26th. Race is in less than 48 hours. Quick little 5K shakeout here on the river approach to Chamonix. Signing off for final shakeout workout of the season before the A race. Excited to be in the race and see what adventure unfolds. For now, enjoy the view. Official check-in for UTMB TDS. I think I've got all my required gear in my bag, but we're headed into the sports center here in Chamonix. For safety and preparedness of all the participants, the UTMB races have a required gear list of about 20 items that are very closely checked, as you can see here, by dedicated volunteers, and includes a contract that you sign that you'll carry all that gear with you throughout the race. And it is regularly checked at different checkpoints along the race course, at least in the first half of the race. Most of the gear includes jackets and pants and headlamps and food, things that keep you safe on the trail. Following that required gear check, pick up your t-shirt, get your photo, and then you're pretty much ready to go. And that's the official check-in for UTMB TDS.
Yeah. Getting ready to go. Is a process. At 2 a.m.
So it's about 3:48 a.m. in Courmayeur, Italy. I'm getting ready to start the UTMB TDS. You can see about 1,500 runners behind me. Super excited about this, super grateful for the opportunity to participate in this race. Was amazing to have an opportunity to come out here with Janae and celebrate our 25th anniversary, and now to be participating in this race. Hoping the training has been sufficient, that we'll be able to get through the race. We're just going to take it slow and steady, perceived exertion 3 to 4 all day long. See if we can get through 145K, or about 90 miles and 27,000 feet of elevation gain, and about that much loss. Super grateful. Grateful is the word of the day. Grateful for Janae, grateful for Jackson and Bennett and Sarah and Paxton. Grateful for my health, grateful for fitness that allows me to do this, grateful for friends and family that support me to do it. Grateful to God for opportunities on this earth to do these kinds of things and learn and grow and be stretched and be changed in the process. So thanks for all the support from everybody. Hoping that this is a positive and good day, and we'll see how it goes. UTMB TDS, big war whoop about 35 hours from now, 30 hours from now, somewhere in that range in Chamonix is the vision right now. So focused on that finish line in Chamonix. We'll get there and we'll rock and roll. See you in Chamonix. 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah! Woo! UTMB 2019 just started about 3 or 4 minutes before I cross the start line. We're gonna rock and roll this thing. Off we go. Off and running, baby. Off and running. Here we go. Have fun. Be grateful. Here we go. So we're about 4.5 miles in, hour and a half. Just went through the first checkpoint. I headed to La Comba. A bit of a mountaintop traffic jam. Basically just stopped here about 5 miles in.
First bit of running since Courmayeur, about 5 miles change in. After that traffic jam, it was nice to stretch out a little bit. Two hours, 36 minutes, 7 miles in, 2:36. Making our way up to Lac Combal on the backside of Mont Blanc. Absolutely beautiful. Sun's getting ready to rise. Amazing sight. Amazing sight. Check it out. Two hours, 47 minutes, 7.25 miles in. Let's see, we got Mont Blanc in the background there. Talk about an awesome morning to be out on the trail. Absolutely bonkers. So great. So great. Loving it so far. Been steady pace because we've just been stacked up. So let's see if it speeds up a little bit now. We got a little bit of downhill to work with. Should be fun. Let's see what we got. So I'm about 12 miles in, 4 hours and 22 minutes, not fast at all. I think I made the rookie mistake of staying way back in the chute, and so it's got me a ways behind. Plus I've taken a little bit of time with some gear and in the aid stations and things like that. But the good thing is there's probably 500 positions within 2 kilometers of me. So if we ever get a point where we can do any sort of steady running, I usually am able to make up some time, but basically it's all single track, and so that just means that you just stacked up one behind another all the way up, as you can see in this line ahead of me. Finally some runnable downhill. Got like 3 or 4 miles of downhill, which is awesome. Finally unleashing it. Been in lines for 4 hours plus. Running low on water. I'm 20.37 miles in. I underestimated how far this section was, so I got some out of a river, but there's cows around here, so I'm not sure when I drink it. 22.3 miles. Ran low on water. Big hill up ahead. See if we can get through it. We'll see. Get a little bit behind on water and fuel, so I'm gonna play some catch up here. We're at 23.72 miles. I just saw Janae at Petit Saint Bernard. Didn't hold my camera out. Sorry, Janae. It was nice to see her. So great to connect with her, get some food. I'd run low on water and food, and so I was in a bad spot, but I kind of refueled and feeling much better now. But I gotta get down at the top here. It's cold. .43 miles, heading into Bourg Saint-Maurice. I think I should have done a little bit more research, but this has been a pretty steep downhill. I mean, we've dropped several thousand feet and can see we still got a ways to go. So we're going down that road, and it's been technical, rocky, steep downhill, nothing but. So, but downhill's better than uphill. I think my quads is taking a bit of beating. Hopefully that'll stand up for later in the race. We'll see. 30.58 miles in, 8:45. Yearly to Bourg Saint-Maurice. Just doing the best we can, working it. See Janae in about 10-15 minutes. Should be great. We're at Bourg Saint-Maurice. At the zoo. It's the assistance area, so Janae can be in here and we're getting all of our gear set up. And out to the worst climb of the day. It'll be exciting. About 32 miles, about 9 hours. Super great for Janae's help. Alright, heading out from the Saint-Maurice aid station. TDS party. Bourg Saint-Maurice. Working our way through town. That steak looks really good. About an hour and 20 minutes. I've gone a little over 2 miles from Bourg Saint-Maurice. Straight up switchbacks. Sometimes just straight up the hill. You can see it's a bit of a death march. Look at these guys. This is the equivalent of doing South Sisters after a 50K. We're at 6,000 feet in 6 miles, which is what South Sisters is. Just as a point of reference, this is most of what this section has been like. Straight up. So I said after 2 hours I'd give myself a 10-minute break. Trying to keep it under 140, and I am. But this is just taking a moment to catch my breath. An awesome checkpoint back there. 35.6. Bourg Saint-Maurice and Seas down there. And we're headed up that way. Over the top somewhere. Only goats and people who think they're goats are up here. 36.65, 12 hours, 17 minutes. I need to check my map. I'm not sure exactly what the cutoff time is. I can't imagine I'm going to be close to it. I only stopped for 10 minutes and I had a steady hike this whole way through with an hour and 15 minute cushion. But I still have some time to cool off for class. I think I just may have already passed the check zone about a half hour ago, so I just need to confirm.
In order to manage the race effectively, race management establishes rolling cutoff times that are strictly enforced every few aid stations. If you arrive at the aid station after the cutoff time, you're forced to abandon or quit the race, and you receive a DNF, or a did not finish, for your race status. So throughout the race, all runners are hyper aware of the need to stay ahead of all cutoff times in order to continue the remainder of the race.
One of the great things about doing these races and these kinds of activities is just the bonkers views. So pretty up here. I love these huge mountain peaks to be up here. The weather is perfect. It's overcast and cloudy, not hot, no wind, and we're just up here in the mountains. Across the way over there, people are going up through that valley. I think we're gonna go split that saddle over there maybe. 37.5 miles, 12 hours, 38 minutes, nothing fast, but slow is smooth and smooth is fast. That and gratitude are the words of the day. Awesome day. So happy with it so far. Feeling much recharged after being a little toasted earlier up that big hill. This is Fall Summit in here, but an awesome lake right down there. Through there. 38.75, 13:24. Not gonna set any speed records, but we're making our way through it. A little on the technical side. But you can't beat the view.
Is this your first time?
On this race? Well, it's everybody's first time this year.
There's a line because of the technical descent, so we've got a queue here to go down one at a time. So that's what we've just come down. Across there and down here. Ridiculously technical. The sun is setting over the mountain right there. Let's just say this is the first time in 5 and almost a half hours that I have run. Yeah, that was brutal. Holy smokes, I've never done anything like that. Up and down, super technical, super gnarly. But we're gonna shuffle it in here to Cormelet de Roseland. See Janae, she's still there. And sit down for a few minutes. I'm at 40.84 miles, 14 hours, 56 minutes. We're just rolling along.
Yay! It's finally him.
That was so brutal.
Yes, now you would have died.
Cormelet de, what's it called? De
Rosalind.
Janae's here. I made it after a super long time. She's so patient.
It didn't get cold until like an hour ago.
An hour ago.
It was really nice for a while.
Took way longer than expected. But we're gonna get something to eat and drink. Love you.
Okay.
Just left Cormelet de Roseland. Janae headed back. Super grateful for her staying out for the day. Out here for like 16 hours. Just waiting to see me for a couple of minutes. So anyway, we're somehow going up over this mountain, which is super exciting. Super exciting. Hopefully we can get to the top before it's dark, but off we go. Let's see, we're at 42.73, 15 hours, 41 minutes. So not quite halfway. See if we can get there in the next hour or so. There's Cormelet de Roseland down there. 43.57 miles, 16 hours, 14 minutes. We continue the streak of not running, which I should have expected from this course, but we're climbing another mountain, so probably my last broadcast before it gets dark, but In news update, 45 miles, 16 hours, 47 minutes. Woo. A lot more than I hoped for, but halfway done. That's all I got to say. Halfway done. Heading up Col de la Gitage. Just went through that aid station. 16K to Beaufort. 47:34. 17 hours, 48 minutes. Slow but steady. One step at a time. We'll get there. Stuff. So a couple updates. About 49.25 miles, 19 hours. Why is 19 hours interesting? Well, when it was a cutoff for La Gitage aid station down below, so about an hour and a half cushion. And I think I'm making good time in this section. Number two, that was a suggested time that the winner would finish this race. And I'm not quite at 50 miles, so 49 and change. He would be coming in at 90 miles now, so 57.25 miles, 21 hours, 45 minutes. Best section so far. Felt super strong going up. Blasted on the way down. So felt really good overall. Come on, come on, come on. Got a plan for here. See if we can keep it relatively quick. Oh, it's hot in here. First time I've been inside in 22 hours. Rock and roll, baby. So on our way to Hadalus. Let's see. We're at 60.5 miles, 23 hours, 51 minutes. Longest I've ever run in my life. And feeling it. Pretty tired. But trying to hang in there. Didn't sleep, but took a really long break at Beaufort. Longer than I probably should have, close to an hour. I think that kind of took some of my motivation out, so I'm trying to rebuild that, but we're getting there. All right. Like I said, I stayed a little long at Beaufort. Got myself out to Hadalus. Felt good about that. My stomach went a little bit sideways there, and it took me some time to get that resolved, and in the meantime got a little bit cold. So I got bundled up and started moving towards Veyron. Got warmed up, and goal is to keep moving in the right direction. Slowly but surely I got some hours added up that give me chance to make it through in plenty of time, but just got to keep heading in the right direction slowly but surely. So that's the plan right now. It's almost sunrise. Felt like that would be a helpful event. So that's where we stand. 63.74 miles, 26 hours and 13 minutes. We're not going to get through this with a lot of time to spare, but I think we can still finish it, not DNF. So we'll see what happens. Optimistic, but bushed. Signing off. Well, it's morning time. I think it's about almost 7. Head up to Col de Verre. I don't just soup at the last aid station. I think it's sort of too salty. dehydrated me a bit. Olivia up here shared half a flask of water with me, which is helping. 64.76, 26.56. Col de Verret, right up there. And I think this is Col de Jolie across the way. So we'll be working on that for the next couple hours. Sunrise over Mont Blanc. Amazing.
Okay, sweet.
Arriving at Col de Jolie ahead of time. Feeling super good about that.
Hello, Mark.
Hello. Scheduled to be here around 11:30. 9:52. I was really thinking about abandoning it hot loose earlier. I'm not in a good spot. I decided to kind of push through. You know, when I spoke to Janae earlier, it was pretty discouraging. All my ties showed me it really close to cutoff times in Chamonix. But this maybe changes things. I'm about an hour and a half ahead of when I was supposed to be in here. So I'm going to get connected with her, see if there's a possibility that I pick up some important time here. Brutal day, still probably 50-50 on finishing in time. But we'll see what we do. We'll see what we do. Col de Jolie. Nearly to Lake Contamine. 75 miles. 31 hours, 22 minutes. This is brutal. Absolutely brutal. We'll see what we can put together here. Possibilities of getting it done. Not easily, but possibilities of getting it done. Can you join me inside?
Yeah. This part over here.
Okay.
And I just go through there. I just go through here.
Okay.
Give me 2 seconds.
At Lake Contamine and toasted.
I was in bad shape, and Janae recommended some assistance in the medical tent. Mostly just gave me a chance to relax and lay down, and ultimately take about a half-hour long nap, the first sleep I'd had in over 30 hours. As soon as I got up, I went through my bag and realized that I had a lot of stuff in there that I wasn't going to need, because it really wasn't going to be nighttime again before I finished, if I did finish. So I emptied my bag, a lot of my required gear, and headed out the door. Started hiking up the hill and got quite a ways up, about 20-25 minutes outside of town. It really dawned on me that I had taken out a lot of equipment that I had committed to carrying throughout the race, even though I wasn't going to need it. And while I tried to justify that that was going to be fine, I finally realized that all the other competitors were carrying all of their gear that they weren't going to need either. And I had really shortcut a commitment I had made in carrying my gear throughout the remainder of the race. So after about being 25 minutes outside of this part of town, I called Janae in hopes of catching her before she jumped on a bus, and she hadn't quite got on a bus yet. And I shared with Janae that I needed to get my required gear from her before she got on a bus. She thought I was crazy, but I began to hike my way back down, and she was generous enough to come up from the bus and meet me so that I could pick up the required gear and repack my bag. And even though that put me at pretty significant risk of not finishing the race, only having about a half-hour cushion between finishing the race before the cutoff time, it was important to me to feel like if I did finish the race, or even if I didn't finish the race, that I did it in the way that was required by the race and that I had committed to. Fortunately, I was able to connect with Janae and get the required gear back in my bag, turn back around and head back up into the mountains in hopes of finishing before the cutoff time in Chamonix.
That's Col de Tricot, last hill of the day. Janae saved me at Contamine, helped me get nursed back to some semblance of health to continue on. So grateful for her coming up and rescuing me. Got me out on the course. 6 hours left before the cutoff. We'll see if we can make it. We gotta get to the top of this, race down to Les Juches, then 5 miles into Chamonix. So it's possible. It's gonna be close though.
Attends, il y a des potes derrière.
Allez, Marc. Allez.
Merci. This is Col de Tricol, 6,360 feet. What a hike up. It's brutal, step by step, about 10,000 of them. Now down to Les Juches, which is out that way. We're gonna work our way down there right now, get home, be done. So grateful this is coming together. It was a huge risk this morning, this afternoon. Thank you, Janae, for rescuing me, making it possible. Made us pull it off. Les Juches down below. About a mile to Les Juches check-in, and 5 miles to Chamonix. Actually possible, amazingly. So brutal though, really struggling, but we're gonna make it happen. Merci. Church bells ringing. Welcoming us into Les Juches. Oh man. One left. One.
Yeah, beautiful.
Allez les gars, ciao.
Merci. So we're making our way up from Les Juches to Chamonix.
Yep.
David, what's your last name?
Lee.
David Lee here from New York is rocking some time with me as we head up to Chamonix, but it's uphill, so we're walking in and we push pretty hard to get through Les Juches. But, we'll get in the finish time amazingly.
Yeah, it feels good. There's a very real chance, I think, for anyone that you could come up empty-handed at that one.
Yes. It was 50-50 for me earlier today. It really was.
There was a moment where I was epic. Way to go.
2 kilometers left. Walking away in here with David Lee, and we're just gonna get to the finish line and celebrate a race that was a great risk of not actually happening. Merci. Chamonix. Gonna finish this thing. Grateful for Janae. Grateful for the kids. Jackson, Bennett, Sarah Paxton for their support. Mom and Dad. Grateful for friends. Super grateful. Lucky guy. Blessed guy. Off we go. To the finish line. finish line. Okay.
Great job. Mark has just completed the TDS 125 kilometers. Mark gives a look at you. Well done, Mark. Well done. Great job, Mark. 125 kilometers here in Chamonix and Mont Blanc. 145. Absolutely. And Mark, 40 hours. 35 minutes running. Great job.
Thank you.
Congratulations from Switzerland. Francois, Xavier Pino, Laurent Dali, Maxime Fabra, tout la France, bravo, bravo, bravo.
I think in that moment, as I hugged Janae at the end of the race, I just had an appreciation for all of her support and the support of everyone who had been there for me throughout my life. For my mom, encouraging me that I could be anything that I wanted to be, and seeing that can really come true. I just realized that this is one of the most difficult things I'd ever done, and that I realized it had changed me in the process, and that was interesting and exciting to see, because I think it's a symbol for our lives. As we stretch ourselves, we can be changed, and we can become more than we were before. After essentially being in a coma for the next many hours, we got back out into Chamonix the next day to see some of the amazing sights. We saw the beginning of the UTMB race, the best ultra runners in the world heading out for 107 miles around Mont Blanc, 33,000 feet of elevation gain. Inspiring to watch them go out, and emotional to know what they had ahead of them. We had a chance to see other winners come through from the CCC race, finishing strong, demonstrating great tenacity and strength along the way. Not to mention families and individuals just like I had that were there to support me along the way. Good friends, Coach Yassine Daboun, finishing with his teammate Joe McConaughey. Families and kids along the way with the parents that they'd supported along the way, and a chance to celebrate those who were champions, who stood at the top of the podium, and those who were the winners of what's considered one of the biggest races of the year. But also some teams that finished who'd been out on the trail for 6 days in the PTL race. Absolutely amazing. They came to the finish line and finished as a team. And at the end, the winner of the UTMB, both the women and the men, inspiring and compelling figures who represent those who dedicate time and energy to achieve the very best that they can in their professional pursuits. And then there's the rest of us who do the best we can with what we've got. Like the final finisher of the CCC race, a gentleman who finished wearing a prosthetic leg and finishing a really challenging 60-plus mile race in the mountains. As we rolled back into good old Portland, Oregon, it gave me a chance just to reflect on the wonderful experience that Janae and I had celebrating our 25th anniversary and that time together as a couple, and also the experience of running the UTMB TDS race and the stretching, challenging, brutal, and ennobling experience it was to do something that really was very difficult and found both strength and growth in the suffering. And that's a wonderful thing to experience and to share with others. And when we go out and get outside of our comfort zone, it's always wonderful still to come home and be around those we love and who support us so much. And I just want to share my gratitude for everyone who supported and loved me and helped me along the way. And just say thank you so much for all the love and support to all my friends and family. Thank you.